we're sitting here, 130,000 followers on Instagram. We started working 3 months and a half ago. The other day, you told me that even a huge podcast reached out, and potentially there could be even a movie role involved. And everything is happening from you posting on Instagram.
2 days ago, I made $410 on TikTok. Yesterday, I made 440. And I was like, what the hell? I'm probably a little more psychotic than most people, but like, whatever it takes, I'm going to have 3 videos going up every single day. But I've been doing what I've been doing for almost 20 years. 20 fucking years.
The hardest part there, staying relevant for 20 years.
You really want to hire somebody who's been there, who's done that. And so I got that feeling from you guys, and it wasn't a very tough decision, and it was very easy to make.
All right, Nat, welcome. Welcome to this call, brother. Appreciate you having here.
Sure.
So yeah, we're sitting here, 130,000 followers on Instagram. We started working 3 months and a half ago. First thing that I want to ask you, man, is, how does it feel?
It's pretty cool. It's not bad. I mean, I've been growing communities for a long time, so this is probably the quickest growth I've had on any platform. Definitely, yeah.
No, to hear that, man. And I mean, let's take it back to the to be beginning for a second, though. Around like 3 months and a half ago, I remember you had around 300 followers at the time on Instagram. You were already at around 90,000 followers on LinkedIn. Uh, what problems were you facing back then when it comes to, Instagram and growing on these other platforms?
I think just not really being familiar with them. I know that repurposing stuff you're putting somewhere else, it's never going to work out the way you hope it does. So, what worked on LinkedIn many, many years ago was posting these kind of off the cuff videos that did very well, but I noticed didn't really transfer over to like YouTube Shorts or TikTok or anything like that. So these days it's way more intentional, organized, process oriented. It's paid off. I'm not going to say luck hasn't been involved. I know it has. And you have to admit that as well. But you said something to me the other day that really meant a lot, which was, and I guess it's revealing my secret, but you said I'm one of the only people that you know that can read a script that doesn't sound like he's reading a script. And he said that you told me that was my unique selling proposition or value
Hmm.
proposition. And I really like took that to heart because I was like, you know what? It may not be like a big thing, but it's rare. So what the hell? I might as well go with it and go with my strength. And that's what I've continued to do. And I'm going to continue to do that.
100%, man. And, you said something super true there, which is a lot of people, I feel like, okay, I need to post on Instagram. I need to almost become this new version of myself, right? I need to maybe get the professional camera, build the initial setup. And I don't know if you remember this, but when we first started working together, I asked you, like, what comes natural to you in the first place? And you told me hanging in my, in my garden outside, in the outside area of my house, and wearing these t-shirts, like these t-shirts that I always wear. Like that's who's not is, right? And I'm like, beautiful. Like let's keep that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think many people try to fit in this new personality or this different person when they go and approach a different platforms, when in reality it's like, what are your USPs that you can use and you can maintain when moving to this new platform? And I think we were very good at doing that.
You were also prepared in the sense that you said, we may try a bunch of formats. Maybe you're not comfortable, like honestly, the idea of doing like a whiteboard wasn't really appealing to me, or doing a video where I'm like analyzing someone else and things like that. And
Mhm.
but point is that I would have done those. There's no way I wouldn't have tried that had this not worked. But like I said, that's where I think luck may have been a little bit of a factor, but we just rode right into this, and it worked. So I have no plans on changing anytime soon.
100%. Let's double down on what's
Yeah.
working. But I remember when we first started working together, your goal was to grow beyond LinkedIn. I want to ask you, why did that matter so much at that particular moment? And also, why Instagram specifically?
Um, LinkedIn's a different platform than it used to be. It's not the same. I also have a different offering. So I used to do a lot of one-to-one high ticket stuff, and I've shifted much more to a broader async model that's incredibly cheap. It's a dollar a month for my community. So LinkedIn is much better suited for DM conversations, one to one, higher ticket stuff, maybe cohorts, things like that, where you're really reaching out to people in the DMs quite a bit. But the platform's changed. Reach is lower. It's a little bit harder now. Honestly, it was one of three. It was Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. And one thing I knew about myself and always will know about myself, it's very hard for me to stay engaged for like 20 minutes on camera. Like one day I do want to tackle YouTube, I do, but I feel like it'll be videos from like an event or something because I can do really well for like 2 minutes and just be very engaging, very high energy. But beyond that, it's very, it takes a lot out of me to make a couple of videos, even though they're really short. And what's nice is it's transferred over to TikTok. It's worked quite well. I'm closing in on 50,000 followers there, which is great.
Thank you.
That's huge. But Instagram, it just, even though I know a lot of it is smoke and mirrors, just in terms of like, oh, I have 500,000 followers, I'm a millionaire. There was
Right.
just a part of me that was like, there's something a little bit more general and global on here than a LinkedIn. And I think that
Mhm.
was what drew me to the platform, where it was just like, who won't pay $1 for something? So it's a much broader audience. And not to mention, there are much more people of power or influence on there. I'm not saying that there aren't people like that on LinkedIn. It's just different. There's much more of a
Yeah.
celebrity known feel on an Instagram. So something can really take off very quickly, algorithmically, if you get seen by the right people. And if your video gets a lot of views, it's going to get seen by the right people. Like there's no.
100%. And we're gonna talk about that in a second, but I think you said something true there, which, first of all, LinkedIn and Instagram are such different languages. Whenever I help someone transition from LinkedIn to Instagram, I genuinely believe that it's almost to me like teaching them a new language. They know a few grammar rules, right, and a few principles, but it's almost like a different language. There's benefits with that because Instagram is so much broader as a platform, but it also allows you to reach such a broader, audience that on LinkedIn, I feel like you're so much more specific with what it is that you do and who it is that you help, which for B2B sales and a lot of things can be amazing. But when you really want to grow your personal brand to a different level and start reaching the hundreds of thousands, millions of people with your content, I think Instagram is just a vehicle to be able to achieve that. And also what you said there, a lot of people, when they come to us initially, and I'm sure it was kind of the same for you, is like, okay, let's grow on Instagram. But I remember you asking me this, are we gonna like do nothing on TikTok and YouTube Shorts? And also as your experience, if you focus a lot on Instagram is the hardest short form platforms to crack. So the moment when you do that, you can simply translate everything that you're doing to a platform like TikTok and almost passively, right? Pass me the term, reach 50,000 followers in there. It's almost like an ecosystem that you build. Yeah.
Well, what's nice about the transference is that I just use Instagram to make my videos for TikTok.
Mhm.
Even the little caption thing at the beginning, that's built on Instagram. So once I make the draft, I just save the video, and then I do the descriptions, everything the same, and I just put it on TikTok, put it on YouTube Shorts. So that saves a lot of time.
When you first started, I mean, you had 300 followers when we started. You decided to hire a coach. You decided to hire us, right? Um, I do want to ask you why not trying to, get onto this platform on your own and see what you were able to achieve without any help? Why did you decide to make that decision?
I had another coach, and that coach was expensive and also somewhat of a mirage. And what I mean by that is that this person worked with really big influencers, but that doesn't mean that they became influential themselves. And so when I saw your account, my eyes perked up a little bit, not to mention when I saw the growth of the person who referred me over to you, that was proof enough. Ultimately, you never know what's going to happen when you work with somebody, right? But it was enough for me to say, here's a check, right? Here's my money, and let's give it a
Mhm.
shot. Honestly, it was like you're probably not going to hire a personal trainer who's really out of shape, right? Or someone who's completely different genetically than you. You really want to hire
Mhm.
somebody who's been there, who's done that. And so I got that feeling from you guys, and it wasn't a very tough decision, and it was very easy to make. So I knew I needed help. I could have done what I normally do, which is just ask a million people and see how it's done and all that kind of stuff. But and you know, the nice thing is now we're, I wouldn't call it cruise control, but you know, we do have a pretty solid process where it's like, you know, you and I don't have to talk every day and figure it out. But that's what you pay for. You pay for all that experience into one plan, and it really didn't take more than like a week or two to really kind of get that down.
100%, man. And I mean, you were telling me about you previously working with another coach, and then starting to work with us instead. I remember the first month, like we did a lot together. I mean, we installed our AI content system. We built the filming setup and strategy that kind of like aligned with your strengths. And also we started posting a lot of volume, I would say, immediately. While we were doing that, like what felt immediately different in us working together rather than you working with the previous coach or by yourself?
The speed, definitely the speed. You know, from scripting to filming to editing, one video takes me around 20 minutes. Like one script, filming, editing, 20 minutes. Before, we were doing like storyboards and writing scripts manually, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I was getting very impatient very quick. Hell, I get impatient with our system, which is about as fast. So the biggest difference was speed, proficiency, right? Not necessarily giving up on quality, which is where I think AI is important. It does come in. I mean, a lot of this stuff is me, but it's assisted by AI, so I can get the stuff out quickly. And now we're at a point where there's been so many videos made that the AI definitely knows my voice, and I'm able to work with scripts that very much sound like me, and I'm very confident going in there saying, yeah, that's me.
We work with entrepreneurs at your level that build something real, right? And a common denominator across everyone is this want of just moving fast, speed, right? And we really put a lot of work and attention into building a system that aligns with that, because also myself as an entrepreneur, like speed is something that we value so much because time is the only thing that you cannot get back. So I remember you being very clear when we first started, and I really like that about you, which is like, Ryan, I'm gonna do everything you tell me to do, right? Because you're the expert, but I want to move fast, which doesn't necessarily mean seeing results with the first video, but building that momentum that leads to those results. And I think all the systems that we build and AI, like a lot of creators now, it's like AI is the enemy, right? It's a tool. You just gotta know how to use it. Like as you were saying, it assists you, the knowledge, the words, they're yours, but why introducing guesswork in the way you structure scripts, where we can fit it thousands of videos that have been proven to work in the past and training a model on that, right? It's just about being smart and leveraging these tools rather than pointing the finger at them and moving slower than everyone else, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I still remember like receiving that first message. How many views did that initial video, like the successful entrepreneurs one?
Yeah,
How many?
I think it was like close to a million.
Yeah, close to a
It's
million.
probably over a million now,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it crossed that million
Yeah.
mark. I just want to ask you, I ask you how it feels now to have 130,000 followers, but I kind of want you to get back in time, like when you first had that like million views video, how did that feel?
Look, man, I've been doing this for like 20 years, so it didn't it didn't feel like much.
Uh-huh.
I think the first time it was like, whoa, what the hell's happening is when I had like a celebrity follow
Right.
me. Like that was
Oh yeah.
almost like a bigger deal just because it was like, whoa, that's weird. Like it got out to all these people,
Hmm.
wow, like that was more of a eye opener than the views themselves because, you know, I've had stuff do well on TikTok, get back when TikTok was like super easy. I remember getting, 20,000 followers in like 24 hours from one video. It was insane. And
Yeah.
that was crazy. And you just keep hitting refresh because you're like obsessed with it. But it felt more real when I started seeing comments, when people really liked my stuff. It was almost more surprising when more of them hit than the first one hit. You know what I mean? It was like it
Hmm.
kind of meant more. I was like, okay, the system's actually working.
100%, man.
But yeah, I mean, it felt kind of cool. I got the
Uh-huh.
dopamine
Yeah.
hit like anybody else does.
But yeah, but you know you brought up a great point there, which is like, at the end of the day, you could buy a bunch of followers, buy a bunch of views, and the numbers will be the same, right? So I think that the two things that were really important there is, first of all, you actually get to see people getting impacted by your content, right? Because once it's numbers, but something else is seeing the people actually commenting and saying how that message, hit them and made them think about that particular thing in a way that they never thought about before. And also I remember like from time to time you still send me, not every day, but I would say every week, some huge personality in the space, both when it comes to entrepreneurs, but also celebrities that are starting to follow you, right, on a weekly basis. That's incredibly powerful because it means that you're reaching that kind of like high level people in the message and the lessons and the things that you're communicating. So 100%, I feel what you're saying, and also the fact that the first one is cool, but then once you get it for the second, third, fourth, fifth time, that's when you start realizing that you truly have a system and it wasn't just like pure luck for that one video,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And now
Mhm.
the goal is how can I find 10 more like that, right? And iterate on all of those videos and just keep going down the rabbit hole.
100%, man. I feel like it's like business, right? I don't know if you necessarily agree, but they say that the first 10,000 a month or the first, 20, 30 are the hardest, and then it's like, how can I do more of what I'm already doing better? And I feel like with content is the same thing. When you're starting from scratch and you have 300 followers and $300 a month, it's like, shit, how do I get to a 10,000? But then you hit that and it's like, now you know what to focus on and what to double down on, right? And I feel like we're in that phase where honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if in 6 months from now we have another chat and I'm like, shit, 500,000, who knows, 1 million followers, right? I genuinely we can get to that point because now we have data that we can use to our advantage.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
And I do agree as far as what you said. First 10,000, how do I replicate and things like that? It's, I go even smaller. It's like, wow, I just made $5 in a day. How did I, that's pretty cool. And it means it's real. And
Yeah.
how do I, turn that into 10, 20, 40, right? And
Mhm.
so, yeah, this is just a new, more modern iteration of what I've always done. I've always been a
Mhm.
content creator. It was just with writing articles rather than creating videos. And so
Yeah.
I told you the wacko benefit of I never thought I'd make money as a creator on TikTok, but you should see my last 2 days.
How,
Last couple of days,
how much did you make?
so 2 days ago, I made $410 on TikTok. Yesterday, I made 440. And I was like, "What the hell?" To me,
That's crazy,
that's
man.
just gravy. That's just like to me, that's just like found money. That's how I look at that.
Right.
And you even told me, yeah, like I didn't realize like that I'm in like a rare bucket there is that I'm actually making money on TikTok, which is I got like a PayPal for $800 2 days ago. I was like, whoa. And
Yeah.
this month's tracking to like, I don't know, 3 grand, something like that. And it's like, I'll take it. I'll
Valid, man.
take it.
Valid,
It's like
man.
found money. Take it to the casino. What the hell?
For the people that say that passive income doesn't exist. No, I'm kidding.
That's,
No, but
look, I've been doing this a long time and I've always wanted
mhm.
to get back to making money as a creator. I made money as a creator. I did very well building websites, creating articles that I made from my own head. Eventually I started hiring people and they were writing articles. I've always wanted to like make money on like a YouTube just for making the video, just to
Yeah.
make money on views because I've always been accustomed to making money on views. It would be articles with ads on them, right? And that's exactly
Hmm.
what this is. It's no different. Hopefully, maybe someday it'll, it'll happen on YouTube. I doubt it, but yeah, man, if only Instagram paid for views, that would be insane.
I know, man. But I mean, speaking about Instagram, we talked about how it allowed you to connect with some pretty cool people there. But the other day you told me that even a huge podcast reached out, and potentially there could be even a movie role involved. And everything is happening from you posting on Instagram, right? So I just want to ask you, like, m moving forward, if you look at that like 6 months from now. these followers, these views, these people that you're reaching, this, inbounds that is coming to you, what do you think that it's unlocking for you?
Ultimately, just continuing to get better, improve, meet the kinds of people that know a lot more than I do, who have wisdom to share. I'm always looking to just improve all the time. It's hard to do that when you're in rooms with people at the exact same level as you, if not, maybe a little bit behind. The only way to get better is people doing better who have been there. Catch 22 about that is you're not really allowed in their rooms until you kind of hit a certain level, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and even with the whole celebrity thing, like I know it's probably their admins or whatever. A couple have responded and it's pretty cool. But I think when you look at 5 or 6 months from now, which was your question or whatever, it's more like, well, maybe it'll be actually them talking to me at that point. Maybe it'll actually be the real representatives of companies or brands or organizations that I want to be affiliated with and do business with, because frankly, I still don't really know what I want from all of this, right? Like, yes, ultimately we're using Instagram as a funnel to get people to join my community, which is incredibly cheap, which eventually, who knows, maybe that leads to larger programs that cost more money and things like that. But, I use LinkedIn as a very good example because when I first got on LinkedIn, I didn't have an agenda. It was really like, can I grow on here? And
Hmm.
it took about 9 months and I think it was 25,000 followers, which is fast for LinkedIn, right? And that's when people started reaching out to me and it just kind of started happening. Instagram, I've had, I don't know, I think 4 or 5 paid sponsored content opportunities. It's just that's not my thing. So I probably turned down some money, for those, but they were all like AI companies that I'm not really sure aligned with what I'm doing. So, but
Hmm.
never say never. For all I know, there could be an amazing entrepreneurial company that wants to collaborate, and I would do that. So I'm trying to take the LinkedIn route. And you and I had this conversation not even a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever, which was like, I finally just kind of am okay with not necessarily knowing. I don't know if a lot of people are in that position, but I am, so I'm going to take advantage of it. Meaning, like, I can be patient. I can just wait and just be like, well, it's pretty obvious. The formula is the more people that see you, the more potential opportunities are going to come your way. And so for me, it is a numbers game. It's not like I'm obsessed with getting 1 million followers. I'm obsessed with getting to the point where those 1 million followers will mean something and actually produce something for my brand, for my business. People who say like, "Oh, it doesn't matter how many followers you have." Some say that because they're frustrated they don't have a lot of followers. But the real answer to that is it just matters how many of the right followers you have. So, of course, I want as many of the right kind as I possibly can have. I don't like playing the needle in a haystack game, which is very common out there. Oh, 1 million followers, you're making no money, right? Like that's usually because people bought followers and bots and all that kind of shit. I actually have an account that has really, really good engagement from real people. So I know that the trajectory is more followers, the better, because I'm doing the right things and getting the right audience.
100%, man. And you said a few very important things there. Like, first of all, is okay, I'm reaching people, but who are you reaching? And that could be from a more, let's say, uncommon situation like yours, where right now it doesn't necessarily have to translate to business right now. But, even if you're in that route of attracting more leads, I mean, there's a difference between leads and qualified leads, right? So just be intentional with your content and actually knowing who you're reaching is super, super important. And something else that you said there is, sometimes just being okay with starting, like we're just getting started. And I think so many people, I mean, even some of our clients sometimes they start and it's like, okay, first week needs to be, videos getting 2, 5, 10,000 views. And I'm like, you haven't put out a video yet. Just focus on the input and on what you can control right now, and the output will follow. And I think you were a perfect example of that. And that's also the reason why you grew so fast, which is like, how can I improve this format? And almost becoming obsessed at optimizing the scripting, the way you talked on camera. Like to this point, I genuinely cannot tell that you're reading off of a teleprompter. I mean that. It's like you focus so much on improving what you had control over, and the numbers followed. right? And I feel like so many people like over focus on the outcome without even spending time in the input itself, that how are you going to expect to grow this fast, right?
Yeah.
And I think you were, a perfect example of doing that in the right way.
Thank you. I also think it's setting the right expectations as well, which is something that we went over. It wasn't just my own expectations. It was you saying like, "Hey, expect nothing for 3, 4 months." Right? So I went in expecting nothing for 3, 4 months. And sure enough, it was 3, 4 weeks, right? That was when something really hit. Part of that is because I was posting 3 times a day. I know I had the volume, but there must have been luck somewhere in there. At the same time, that luck eventually would have kicked in anyway. I have very little doubt of that with the consistent iterating, constantly trying to find new topics, other creators to emulate, to learn from. Just doing all of that would have eventually led to something doing well. I just feel I was blessed in the sense that it happened relatively quickly. But I went in 3, 4 months, nothing's going to happen. And nothing did happen those 3, 4 weeks. It was that whole 300 view thing. And it's not like I went from 300 views to 1 million. It was like one of them hit 1,000. And for me, that meant a lot. That was a bigger
Yeah.
deal than getting 1 million, right? Because you had explained to me, okay, if you're getting 3 times the views of your normal stuff, that's a very good sign. And those would trickle in. And now it's basically like if a video gets less than 5,000 views for me, it's pretty rare.
Mhm.
That's a humongous improvement. Like you can't, and that's another thing about being impatient. You can't take that lightly. Like obviously, I want to get to a point where every video is like 50,000 views. It's just a given. But that's not going to happen. If I'm doing the math and I'm at 130,000 followers, I need 1.3 million, right, to average
Mhm.
50,000. I'm a ways away from that, and it's okay. It's okay. But then it becomes more fun in the sense that you don't have to rely on virality to grow your audience, because that's exactly how I grew on LinkedIn. I've had like seriously on LinkedIn like 3 viral posts in 6 years, 3. And when I say 3, I mean like 100,000 or more. I never hit 1 million, never hit 500,000. I don't think I even ever hit 200,000 views on any post on LinkedIn. I was consistent as hell. It just kept going, and now it's like 90,000, 400 or whatever the hell it is. But it's just one day at a time. I would rather grow with a much bigger moat and it be consistent growth and be like, oh man, if I don't have 1 million view video every couple of weeks, I'm screwed. I don't want to be screwed. I'd rather have a very consistent flow of 5 to 10,000 views, knowing that that's pretty much the norm. And then eventually it starts to escalate and it gets exponential.
Mhm.
I don't know how or if I can grow faster than I'm growing now, but I'm also not like chomping at the bit and smashing down doors to get there. It's kind of like, yeah, if
Right.
it happens, it happens. Wonderful.
Mhm.
It's more like at this point, it's kind of like for visual clout almost. It's like if someone sees my
Yeah.
account and they see that it's at 500,000, they're likely going to hit follow. That's kind of where I want to go. It's not a vanity
Yeah.
thing. It's more like
Mhm.
credibility.
How many followers are you averaging right now a day? I think you told me the other.
A couple thousand. Yeah. It's
Yeah, a couple of
it's
thousand. And how long does it take you to create those 3 videos in total?
scripting plus filming plus editing, an hour, sometimes less, to do 3 day.
Right. I would say that's a good ROI.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like the reason why I brought this point up is because at the beginning it wasn't 20 minutes.
Right.
And it's normal. It shouldn't be that way. So like a lot of people are so into output from day one, but they don't understand that even those weeks, sometimes months are not getting that. You're just building, just going through the repetition. So once something hits, now you can replicate it 10 times
Yeah.
faster, right? So right now you're also seeing yourself. Like I'm sure before we would get viral hits, but maybe it was like one video every 30. I feel like right now is way more frequent than that,
Yeah.
right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're getting like viral videos on a weekly basis right now, right? And that's what allows you to grow that fast. So it's like, patience, trusting the process, but also understanding that when you're not getting the views yet, you're building all those foundations that would allow you to do so.
Yeah.
It's still
I
work.
also think that we live in a time and an age where people are very impatient, and they're less and less patient. I mean, I said this. I don't know if I said this on this video, but I've been doing what I've been doing for almost 20 years. 20 fucking years. That's a long time. People talk about 6 months like it's a decade. It's not. It's puppy games. It's child's play.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I've seen lots of people say, "Hey, I've been here 5 years. I finally hit 10,000 followers." You know what I mean? It's like, so I don't take it for granted that what's happening is somewhat abnormal, but I also, I have no problem continuing to wait and continuing to be patient, because this is only phase one. Like there's really no business attached to what I'm doing right now. And like I said, I have the luxury of being able to operate in that way because I've made money in businesses and I can be patient. Anyone who can do that, I think, should build the right system first before you try to monetize. I know, like, that's not really a place that I was able to be in for however long. But now it's like, it's funny. The bigger I get, the more I almost want to wait. It's like I don't know what it's kind of like that. It's weird. It's like, yeah, I always think of like what Hormozi does. Like, he's a very different creator and I'm nothing like the guy and all that kind of stuff. But what I always appreciated was it was almost like everything he did, it was like a really slow build. And I even know people that worked for him. And when he started working, I know for a fact he said, like, what's the 10-year plan? Like, he never at any point was like, where's this going to be in a month? Where's this going to be in 2 months? It was always 10 years. People don't have the stomach for that. They just don't. And so for me, like I said, I don't take for granted the growth at which, the growth rate that I've achieved here. But at the same time, like, I went into this being like, I shouldn't even really see a sniff of progress for at least 3 to 4 months. And that's like the earliest sniff of progress, right? That's not like a
Yeah.
million followers. That's absurd to think that.
100%, man. And I actually find myself so much in, in your story and what we achieved together. I mean, for the people that don't know watching this, but when Alessio and I started working on Create Content Club, we said something to each other. We said, okay, we're gonna post 2 videos a day, every single day for 6 months, and we don't even have the right to say that this worked or did not work until we cross 6 months mark. In 59 days, we hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. But to this day, I know that the reason why we did that was because of this mindset that we started with. I'm so sure about that. And almost like listening to this side of the story, kind of for the first time for me too, and your thought process behind it. It's so crazy how, like, even 2 years after we achieved what it is that we achieved, right? And it's crazy how that mindset is something that we have so much in common in both of our stories, right? And I don't think it's random. I genuinely believe like you should always approach probably life like that, right?
Absolutely.
Not just content, and that's where the best things start from.
Yeah, like a very good example is the human body itself doesn't really heal well until you sort of let go and let it heal, right? If you're thinking about healing all the time, you're not going to heal as well because you're stressed, you're anxious. That affects you physically and mentally, right? So I happen to agree in terms of business growth. If you're constantly thinking about growth, 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 you're not really thinking about how to grow. You're just thinking about growth. And then what are you going to do? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to slip up. You're going to try and take shortcuts. And so the funny thing is when you don't think about growing fast, you will grow fast because you're focusing on all the right things, which is not growth. It's doing it right. And if it's done right, the speed comes. Is it always like that? No. I mean, yeah, some people get lucky. It happens. You can't depend on luck. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I feel like I just listened to one of your scripts, man.
Maybe we should record that, and I'll just, I'll put the.
I mean, I'm recording. I'm gonna clip it for you. I can mark
Sounds
this
good.
this part of the video.
Sounds good.
Love it, man. I mean, one of the last questions that I have for you, and I want you to be 100% honest with me now, because I'm actually curious in hearing that. If you didn't join our program, start working with me and Alessio, honesty, where do you think like you would be today with social media and Instagram?
That's a tough one. I think I probably would have made progress, just because I work hard and I'm curious, but I'm not sure I would have grown at the speed and efficiency that I did. I don't think I would have been using any of the tools that I do. and you guys live and breathe this stuff, and that's a huge part of it. Not to mention you're highly responsive. So a lot of people suck to work with. That's just the bottom line. They do. It's just most people are annoying as hell. They're good at sales, but they're not really good at execution. You didn't really have to sell me too much because it came from referrals. It came
Mhm.
from it came from me being able to see results in front of my face, not you have to
Yeah,
convince me, right? So that, like I said, you never know until you actually start. But once we started and I saw your responsiveness, that was very, very important to me. So
I
no, I don't
appreciate you
think I'd be
saying
as
that,
far.
brother.
I don't think I'd be as far along. No way, no chance.
And you know what? I think you would maybe not at this level, but you definitely would have grown because of your discipline, your patience, everything that we talked about, because those are the assets that, that allow this growth in the first place. And I feel like our systems were like the uh almost the multiplier effect. You know what I mean? One thing that I was thinking about, I feel like so many coaches out there, and they don't necessarily have to be coaches, like whoever, like business owner, they're very good at selling, as you were saying, but then when it comes to the delivery, they can lack. They can be, lazy, not give that much importance. And it's true that you came from a referral, but like if I think about it from a business point of view, the reason why you came from a referral is because we did a great job with the person before you. And maybe that person before you came from another. So I just think the more we move in business, the more like if you're here to stay the long term, you got to put your clients at the first place, and that's how you keep yourself in business, right? And it's the same thing with content. It's like you can get lucky and almost get lazy in the way you provide value to your audience and not reinventing yourself. Like people will get tired of you, man.
Yeah,
So I think in life in general is like get reminded of like what's your goal in the first place, what it is that you're trying to achieve, which for me, my mission is I get to work with so many cool entrepreneurs that have decades of experience. I mean, I'm 23 years old, right? I have so much more to live, and I get to assimilate the knowledge, even just by reviewing your scripts, reviewing all of the scripts of our other clients. I learn so much,
yeah,
and in the meantime, I help you build something real. And I think that, moving forward, I cannot turn it into a solo speech, but moving forward, I need to remember that because it's what got us here in the first place.
sure, sure. And it's easy to
Hmm.
forget that kind of stuff, which is why every time something interesting like that happens on an Instagram, I put my head down and go right back to work. That's just how I've always been. I don't get starstruck. A celebrity follows me. I show my wife. She's the one who smiles, and I'm like, all right, until that celebrity actually reaches out to me and I do business with them, then I'll be excited, right? But like for now, it's a name. It's cool, but it lasts for like 30 seconds. I get a little buzz, and I'm like, all right, I'm done, because that's not really what drives me or excites me. It's the process itself. It's seeing progress being made. That's where you get the real high and the right kind of dopamine. So yeah, and as far as customer service, which is kind of what you're alluding to, the best way to grow a business is having hundreds and hundreds of people advocating for you who say, this person does what they say they're going to do. I like working with them. It's the easiest sales tool there is. It's the hardest, but it's the easy. It's the best. Sorry, not the easiest. It's the best. Um,
Mhm.
referrals are gold. It doesn't get higher. It
Yeah.
doesn't get higher than that. And to be able to know that you've got not just two people, but 200 people that you could say they really helped.
Mhm.
That's really important.
I guess last question that I have for you is now we grew, now you have the system, now it maybe not feel easy, but it feel predictable. What would you say to someone that is still stuck in that, like posting, trying, getting no traction, if anything is thinking about potentially joining us, what would you honestly say to them?
I think the biggest thing I would say is surrender. You really need to let go of what you think you know or what you think you should know and allow someone who's proven it more than once, more than twice, right? That something works, which is why I said to you, Brian, I'm going to do everything you tell me to do. And if we go 3 to 6 months and there ain't no progress, you're going to hear about it from me, right? As long as I do everything I told you. And I know that in that 3 to 6 months, you would have told me, well, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, right? because I would expect nothing less. So, because that's what I would do with my clients. I'd say, okay,
Mhm.
we did say that, but you haven't done X, Y, and Z, right? So, um, that's the biggest thing I would say to people is allow a system that work for you. It might not be the most comfortable thing in the world, right? But that doesn't mean it's not going to work. And so it can always be molded to your style, to your personality, et cetera, et cetera. It's like we went with something that I've been doing since 2018. I'm posting videos in my backyard. Nothing changed. Nothing has changed. What has changed is the small variables that algorithmically make a difference.
Mhm.
These videos are not very different than the stuff I was doing for LinkedIn and all that. It's just that now they have captions. Now they have a little thingy in the beginning, and if that little thingy in the beginning or a hook leads to 1 million views over a video without a good hook that gets 300, but it's virtually the same, well, then that's money well spent because I didn't know that little thing before. And that's, I think, what makes a ton of difference on all of these platforms. Yeah, that's why you always hear the same shit over and over and over again. Hey, if you don't have a good hook, it ain't gonna work. Well, it's true. If you don't, it won't. You've got 3 seconds to catch their eyes or catch their ears, whatever it is. If you lose it, it doesn't matter how good it is after that, right? Or if you don't have a friendly format that continues to pique interest, you're going to be screwed. And I'm convinced that the reason I actually make money on TikTok, I haven't even looked, but I have a feeling I must have good watch time with some of these videos. It has to be.
100%,
There's
man.
no question. And not to mention also the subject matter. Like the people who make like zero point zero 0.04 CPMs, those are usually entertainment pieces or, humor or something like that. And it'll get 5 million views and they'll make like $20. Whereas I'm doing a lot of entrepreneurial stuff, personal development, right? Business growth, which typically always has, high RPMs. So on a
100%.
TikTok, if you're making, 30, 40 cents, that's like a ton of money on TikTok, which is funny. I've been dealing with these numbers since 2007, CPMs and RPMs and all that kind of stuff. And when I first started my websites, the overall RPM of my websites, all ads combined, was like $1.25. Crazy, right? My websites today, the RPMs are like $55. It's a completely different ballgame, but it's still the same. It's still the same principles, right?
Mhm.
The game is traffic. For me, the game is traffic. On LinkedIn, the game's not traffic. It's precision. It's targeting, right? So you got to combine everything and kind of do what works for you. But one thing and I've said this to you many times, what has always worked for me for whatever reason is volume. For some reason, it's worked well for me, and you got to keep going with what works.
You know the volume negates luck thing? I feel like it's volume negates luck, or maybe there's luck involved, but it gets you there faster,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I don't disagree with that. And
Hmm.
again, I use the word luck. There's an argument for that too. I've been creating video content for 7 years. Come on. I've been creating articles for nearly 20 years. At some point, I'd like to think I know what I'm doing. I still know I have much to learn and I still don't know a lot. But somewhere along the way, some formula, some style, something kicked in, right? And so I don't believe that this is like a 3, 4 week just luck, something went viral. This is 18 years of work that went into eventually, finally, something happened, right? Finally, something kind of worked. And the thing is, you also have to be humble enough to realize it could all go away tomorrow. Also, you can't just coast. Which is why,
100%.
for me, it's like I'm probably a little more psychotic than most people, but like you know, whatever it takes, I'm going to have 3 videos going up every single day, even if I'm away on vacation. Doesn't matter. I'm still going to have 3 videos going
Yeah.
up a day. And so, and is it so difficult? No. Hell yeah. I mean, what if I was in Hawaii? If you think I wouldn't want to film on the beach? Like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, it's awesome. You know, so I almost look at vacations as like a fun time to even film. Why not?
Yeah, change the background a little
Yeah.
bit.
Why not make a video when it's tropical and beautiful out? It's like it's the best of all worlds. You can be in a
Mhm.
tropical paradise, but still motivate people. I think that's really cool.
And I think that, you've been doing this for 20 years, you said it yourself. And I think the hardest part there, and the most challenging thing that you achieved was staying relevant for 20 years, right? Because you said it yourself, it started from articles, then it switched to LinkedIn posts, now it's video on Instagram. It's like attention will always be a currency, will always be the game, but can you evolve? Can you adapt to where that's shifting? And I think your mindset and your dedication into I'm gonna make 3 videos with the new system that I learn regardless is, what will keep you above up for so many more years forward, and I really wish you that, brother. I'm
Thanks.
super excited about our future together, our collaboration. I think we're literally at the beginning. And I thank you for this call, brother. I think people got a lot of value out of it. And yeah, so we're excited to continue doing so.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you having me.